my name's Lewis and today I'll be giving my first impression on the Bones SPF 60mm 84B. So the first thing you'll notice when you pick up the wheel is that it's literally like plastic. It's the hardest wheel that I've ever felt. And I didn't even realise that skateboard wheels could be this hard, to be honest. The graphics, super minimal. I'm not much of a graphic guy. It's just going to get scratched off in a couple of days anyway, but if you are bothered, there's not really much to see. Go into the reason as to why I chose these wheels out of all the wheels that I could have chosen was that basically over the past week I've been really getting into vert skating. It's something that I really want to learn over the next couple of years. And I'd been using these Richters, which are super soft, and they've been fine, they've been okay, but they're not really suited to vert or smooth ground as such. So softer wheels are far more suited to skating on rough ground in the street, you know, pavements, roads, whatever, and hard wheels are far more suited to smooth ground like wood, concrete, parks basically. So for anyone who doesn't know what these wheels mean by 84B, basically skateboard wheels have a scale, so it starts at 1A and it finishes at 100A, and what that is, it means that so that the lower the number, the softer the wheel, the higher the number, the harder the wheel. So obviously 100A is the hardest, 1A the softest. And what Bones have done with these is they've actually used a B scale. So what that means is that if your wheel is classed as a B, it is 20 points less. So a B60 would be the equivalent to an A80, if that makes sense. And the reason they've done this is so that they can make harder wheels and then fit them into the A scale. So these B84s would be the equivalent of an A104, which is obviously over the 100 on the scale. I'm not the most knowledgeable of the durometer scale, so maybe I'm slightly wrong here, but from what I know, that is correct. The only downside to these wheels that I can think of so far is that the harder the wheel, the less grip you're going to have on wood and concrete. So these Richters are very grippy when you're skating ramp, which is great. You can't really power slide on a ramp. Not maybe you don't want to do that anyway, but you're not going to be able to power slide on very soft wheels, whereas these you'll slide a lot. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I don't really know yet. The idea of doing a frontside air onto wheels that are less grippy is a pretty scary thought. So the plan is to take these wheels to my local skate park, Ramp City, and just have a 3 or 4 hours skate on the vert ramp, see how they are, really test the grip on them and see if I can feel a difference on the speed that I'm getting. I'd imagine that that's going to be the most noticeable thing, but we'll have to see. That's why I wear a helmet, kids. So I've skated these wheels now for around 3 weeks, which I feel is enough time to give somewhat of a review. And firstly, I'm going to start off with the bad things about the wheels, the things that I didn't really like. So number one, carving wooden balls is a big no. The second you start to turn on the transition, you're going to slide out. Number 2, these wheels are very noisy in comparison to softer wheels. Even on smooth wood, there's a lot more noise, and it's not end of the world, but it's just something to consider. But number 3, skating on street surfaces isn't ideal. You can feel every crack that you ride over. I'm pretty sure you're more prone to falling on stones with these wheels. And now for the things that I did like about them. Number 1, the difference in speed versus soft wheels is very noticeable. Before, my soft wheels kind of felt like they would sink into the ground, whereas these are just obviously very rock solid. And it took a while to get used to this, especially on mini ramp. Even just going for like an axle stall or a disaster, I was basically getting too much speed every time. I was basically just flying over the top every single time. And it did take a little while to get used to this, but now I am used to it, definitely much better. Number 2, flat spotting. So this has been an issue throughout all my years of skating. After a while, my wheels are always prone to flat spotting, and it's one of the most annoying things when you're at a park and you can just hear the noise, and it just feels ugly under your feet. But with these wheels, I've literally, and I mean it's only been 3 weeks, but I've had no sign of these wheels flat spotting. And as you can see on my 540 attempts on the vert, I had around 120 attempts overall, and probably 50% of these ended up with my board power sliding down the ramp at a pretty heavy speed. And on soft wheels, I'm pretty certain that this would lead to even a small flat spot, whereas with these wheels, there's nothing so far. Obviously, time will tell if they do end up flat spotting, but because of how hard they are, I imagine it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to flat spot. So number 3, this is the thing that I was worried about the most, was skating these wheels on wooden ramps, especially vert. I've mentioned that on bowls it's not great when you're carving around because you are going to slide out, but on vert it felt more beneficial to have the ability to slide. So when you're doing spins and you land 90 degrees off, you're going to need wheels that can power slide and ride away, whereas with softer wheels there's obviously a chance of landing 90 and sticking, or not being able to turn the whole way then falling. So it took me a little while to get used to it, but 100% better for vert and mini ramp, and I probably wouldn't go back to softer wheels if I'm exclusively skating vert. Number 4, I didn't really notice a difference between these wheels and the softer wheels when skating concrete. The grip just felt the exact same to me. I'm not sure if that's something that bones have somehow formulated within the wheel, but I don't really like the idea of having slippy wheels on concrete anyway. So for me that's a plus, that they are very sticky on concrete and they still have the ability to slide on wood. So overall, I'm really happy with these wheels. I personally wouldn't go back to softer wheels at this point, especially if I'm spending 90% of my time skating park and vert. They're not ideal for street at all, so if you're someone who does skate everything, then I really wouldn't recommend them because it's just going to ruin your session in street. But for park, they're amazing, and I wouldn't hesitate to recommend them to anyone. What I'm going to personally do, it's winter now, so I won't really be skating much street for the next 6 months. So these wheels will be absolutely fine for me. But I have another setup at home where I'm going to put my Richters on and skate that exclusively for street. And this board is going to be just for park. I wouldn't be skating down the street in these. I wouldn't travel around with these. They're just not ideal for street. They just don't feel nice on rough ground. It's just not worth it. So if you can afford to have a second pair, I know the Bones do these wheels, a street version of these wheels, where these are the skate park versions. I would get the street wheels for street, obviously, on another setup, or just switch around wheels, depending on what you skate. They are probably one of the best wheels I've skated in my 15 years of skateboarding, and that's honestly no exaggeration. I've never really been that bothered about wheels, to be honest. They've all pretty much felt the same. These ones have so many benefits when you skate in park, but yeah, overall, really happy with them, and I'd buy them again.